Well, hello everyone. Here to show you right here. I talk about for bills though, and what does it usually mean when we do get a bill? And it's pretty much means as to where yeah, we are being billed, charged for the service for what we were using, right? And most of the time, though, it sure seems that way. That each time that you do get a billing statement, though, that the first thing that really comes to your mind, though, is like, oh my, look how much it is, and anything such as if it's a maybe going to be a car payment, credit card payment, or any mortgage payment, or anything like that. But on the other hand, too, that it sure seems that way. That whenever you first look at the amount right here, and most of the time, though, like everybody else would say too, that yeah, whenever you look at the bill amount a lot of times, and it sure seems that way. That yeah, the first thing that you really think about is that yeah, look how much it is, and so, if we were to actually do the calculations right here, talk about for bills, though, that it's basically it's a statement, right? And talking about statement based on the amount, the based on the amount the amount due. I'll just say yeah, the amount due from the service that was used. So I know a lot of times it sure seems that way that whenever we do look at a billing statement, a lot of times that yeah we're also thinking about is that yeah, well really that whenever you do take care of a bill most of the time, like it sure seems that way that each time you think about a bill though, that it's like yeah, you know how that is that whenever you first do get a bill, that what's the first thing that comes to your mind whenever you see that bill? Well, most of the time the things that come to my mind mainly are like you're going to go ahead and look at the taxes and surcharges and other other amounts that you're being billed for and all that, just from the terms of use of the service and all. But a lot of times, what I usually see whenever it comes to bills, like yeah, the taxes, it's taxes, and also it's also put right here that yeah, if it's maybe yeah, service charges, and also that yeah, transfer rates or something. So a lot of times, yeah, I can go and put on here the transfer rates also, and then it could also be about that yeah, service charges, just for the service. So like let's just say that for the most part that if you're going to be charged just because of certain concerns about the bill though, and let's just say that yeah, if there's an update that came in, or maybe if there was a past due payment that came in, or possibly that if you want to look at this toward if you were to go ahead and make a change on a statement or something on a bill, and most of the time I usually see tax rates though, so it's like each time you do look at a bill that you usually see that toward that they're going to be charging separate tax charges, and also for the rental equipment or anything, or it could also be related to about that that yeah, there was a payment missing from the previous month or something like that. So a lot of times that when we think about a bill though, that we're going to maybe look at that bill, and I know I got a couple of them too that also yeah, that the bills would need to be at least $5 or more just to be paid at certain locations, and also that if you earn any credits, if you earn any spendable points and credits, and then that can also save you a lot of money from the bill, and so that's why it sure seems that way. That each time we look at the bill though, that we're going to go ahead and see that to where I'm like yeah, the bill would have showed the amount owed, no, the amount due and all, but still that yeah, what's the one thing that we can also remember about most of these bills? So that whenever you do get a bill in the mail, a lot of times, do you necessarily think about too much about how much it is, or if anything, that yeah, with your name on it, you got your name on the bill right there, and so every time we look at the bill like that, and then we're also getting a better idea about how it works, and then what what we got to do whenever we do receive a bill. So a lot of times it's like, yeah, whenever you do get a bill, a lot of times you're going to go ahead and put it, put it in the file, an appropriate file to where you can go ahead and arrange it to where you can pay it on the time that it's due, right? But how many of us are really going to think about that to where that just to kind of do the study about it whenever you think about a bill, though? And you look at that as toward a taking care of any sort. I'm like, yeah, taking care of business, and also if it's the top up task and priorities. And so let's just say that whenever you do take care of a bill, a lot of times that you're able to gain some knowledge about how it all works, to where you go ahead and put your payment, by mail, or if you're going to be paying online, that you're going to go ahead and there's going to be like, the account number and all that, but still, most of the time it's like, like an invoice number, but most of the time it's the account number. The account number it's going to be asked for a lot of times, and then also if there's any source of invoice number or something. So a lot of times that information right there is going to be asked for whenever you're ready to take care of a bill. Then there's going to be the account number and verification number, all that's going to be asked for. But it sure seems that way, that when we think about a bill, most of the time, that we see on there talking about with the amount of $138.73 right there. So if we were to see that right there, and you see right here that if we can all read that, just bear up, but for the account number, right? But still that. But also about the signature, though. So it's like, if you're getting ready to take care of a bill online, then you're going to be asked to confirm, like, if you're trying to pay with an electronic check or with a Visa or some sort of payment like that they're going to be asking you to please input the name by whose account that it's under and all that. So the way I think about it too, though, that each time you look at a bill, a lot of times, that are you able to get a better idea about the details about it, toward it during the 30 days that whenever you were using the service, that this is what you were taxed for, and this is the service for which you receive and all that. But a lot of times we're going to be asking that question to where that whenever you do the shopping around, though, then why is it that there's a difference between what goes into that order status and compared to what you're billed for? So let's just say that if you were promised that you were going to be getting certain items for free, and so like let's just say that maybe if it's the cable bill, or maybe if it is, maybe it related to doing shopping around, or maybe doing shopping on a credit card or something like that. And like everybody else to say too, that whenever you talk about for free, but I also want to mention right here, I'm talking about talking about that affordable, and so how come advertisements don't say that most of the time? So let's just say that if you're going to be doing shopping around, that you really are looking for something that's affordable, right? Affordable means that something items that shopping for items that fit your budget, that fit your income, right? That fit your income. And so a lot of ways it sure seems that way, that how come that a lot of these advertisements, like, stuff. I'm trying to say stuff here. I don't know what but the items that shop for items that fit your needs. But anyway, so that whenever we're going to be doing these sorts of shopping around, a lot of times, that for what's affordable, and then also whenever we look at a bill, a lot of times, that do we look at a bill more like to where we read the details right here, to where they're talking about for digital service. I'm like, for talk about for the spelling of someone's name, but then also another way of how to state, for that person, for giving them, permission, just to, to use the service and all, but, still that, but you have right here, talk about, what's your name, right? So that basically means is that whenever you do get a bill, whenever you do receive a bill, either electronically or by mail, that, what's basically what you're seeing though is that that gives you permission to where you can go ahead and call the service desk and go ahead and get details about the bill and how much is owed, and to know about working out the payment arrangements a lot of times. So it sure seems that way, that when we do think about a bill a lot of times, that why do we need to kind of look at that is to where that just like the medical papers, or I'm like, yeah, each time you do get a bill, it sure seems that way, that yeah, the very first thing that you can probably think about is just where, yeah, that the whole experience about getting a bill is just like if you're going to be buying a Girl Scout cookies or something like that. Like if we're even talking about Girl Scout cookies, but still, that each time you get a bill though, that they're talking about with this fifth grade math right here, that why is it that most of the time that whenever you do get a bill though, that you might see bills that go from $57. They go from like 57.95, something like that, to like maybe something like a 307, something like that. 307.82 right there. So if we were to actually do the calculations like that, and at 102, that whenever you do get a bill, and let's just say if it's maybe 6 months later, and then you might see some bills that do wind up getting I'm like, yeah, the do wind up going up, and so let's just say that after 6 months or so, and let's just say maybe if it's even after 3 months or so, that you're going to maybe see maybe a 15 or 20% increase on that bill. And a lot of times it sure seems that way, that you get a bill though, but then you might see the difference though. It's like, yeah, from the same company, the same account, but then you're being charged maybe $8 more this time than how much that you were being billed for from nearly 30 days ago, for even from 3 months ago. So if we're even talking about maybe the water bill, or maybe the power, or any other source of utility bill, that it sure seems that way, toward that number one, that there's going to maybe be a transfer. I'm like, there's going to be a fee or some sort based on that if you're trying to transfer the billing status to your name. So let's just say that if you had to call the service desk and talk to somebody and tell them that you're trying to get the bill switched to your name. So whenever you do switch the bill to your name, that pretty much means that you are authorized to gain access to that information about what was used, and also about for what needs to be done, far as whenever the payment is received, and also about any changes or updates that need to be stated on that bill. So a lot of times it's like, yeah, that since I've been paying the bills, though, it's like a lot of things that I do see about that is to where yeah, whenever you do get a bill though, you don't just see just your name on that bill. What you actually see is that you actually see the taxes and the service charges and a lot on the bill, right? But a lot of times it sure seems that way, that yeah, whenever you do get a bill, you realize further details. So let's just say that if you need that bill just to verify, yeah, if you're needing this bill just to verify your tax information, or maybe even for a driver's license or something like that. And I know a lot of offices that do ask to see that bill, and they're not saying that, okay, if the bill was paid or not, but the bill would indicate about your residence, right? And so a lot of times it sure seems that way, that when we think about a bill though, that kind of like a grade report, that whenever you're going to be looking at that grade report, it's going to maybe tell you about why points were deducted, and I'm talking about, like, yeah, I talk about for deducted. I guess that means is towards the subtracted. So yeah, that whenever we're talking about deducted right here, that That's another way of saying it is to or subtracted. And so when we talk about subtract, though, that most of the time that usually means that that there was points that you could have earned if you would have maybe like if you were to go ahead and make the call right around 10 a.m. Like I would say, I'll go ahead and just say 9 a.m. So let's just say that if you were to go ahead and call, that's how copy and paste works right there, by the way. If you hold that down right there and then you have these copy and paste options right here, right? And so it's like, you would click copy and then you would click paste right here. You have the clipboard or like the view, but so yeah, that's how that works. So in case of anybody that wants was wanting to know how you do that from the phone there, that you would just hold down the text right there, and then it would give you those options right there. Hold it down for about 2 seconds, and then you'll be given those options right there. If you want to go ahead and copy or delete, but still. But talk about right here that contact the customer service a lot of times. So when we think about the bills a lot of times, so that we're probably thinking to well, usually whenever you do get a bill in the mail a lot of times, so it sure seems that way, that's maybe the worst part about whenever it comes to receiving services. I'm like, well, what are you going to say other than that? It kind of gives you a better idea of how it works, and then also what's going on with the service. And I guess that's just another way of how you receive service, right? And even if we're talking about insurance right here, it's another way. It's a way of how of how we receive service. So let's just say that if it is over something important right here, and so let's just say on average, though, that whenever you do receive service, and I'll even leave that up right there, and I'll go ahead and put right here for how you receive service, and also that whenever you do get a bill, when you do get a bill, that you see the services that were calculated. So a lot of stuff, that were calculated. And so a lot of things that you see on these bills, most of them, is like, that you actually see the details about the month of service that you were using, and also for what you received, from the company and all. But the way I think about it too, though, that whenever you do receive a bill, a lot of times that you're going to maybe be nervous about how much it's going to be most of the time. So it's like, in case if anybody were to ask me, though, that well, really, that whenever you do receive a bill in the mail, most of the time, do you really feel pretty nervous whenever you check that bill, and then you're going to maybe see on there that you were charged for the service that was associated, like with whenever it comes to thinking that you're going to get something for free, especially. So let's just say, if you were to receive service from the company, and let's just say if you had a coupon, especially. So let's just say that if there's maybe a certain times the months that you did pay on time, but then you were expecting the bill to be a little bit cheaper this time just because that you paid the full amount. So let's just say, like most customers would say too, that well, if I pay pay in full. So if you pay a bill in full, does that usually mean that the following month will be cheaper? And the way I think about it too, though, that if you pay in full, would the following month be cheaper? But to me, I just really think that we might say that really all depends. But let's just say though that if you're going to be paying in full, then that pretty much means that that's it's all measured on. I mean, which I know a lot of bills like the insurance companies would say too, that it's all measured by the period about the pay period. Yeah, it's the pay period. So if you were late at certain times, if you were behind for about maybe for the first if you were behind for the first maybe 10 days or something like that, and I know a lot of times that happens too, that if you're going to be it's all measured by certain periods or so of every 6 months, or certain periods in a month, something like that. So let's just say if you're about maybe 10 days late, or maybe possibly if you are 10 days earlier making a payment and knowing about for what's recorded on that billing statement. So a lot of times, if we would actually do the studies here, and at the time you want to know too that you're going to ask that question to where that okay, are you being charged more or less during this pay period? And so that's why it sure seems that way, that doing the calculations there, and depend on, I'm like, yeah, depend on how far behind, but let's just say that on average though, that no, it's like for every 5 days. So let's just say, if you're going to be on time with the paid in full amount for the first 5 days, then you'll see a certain amount changes going on the billing statement, all. But still, that so if we were to actually do the calculations right there, though, that you want to know too is toward that you're going to maybe be thinking a lot of times is that really that you see the activity that's going on with the bill, right? But a lot of times you're likely want to know too is toward how come that the 1 month of the bill, one month of service was $5 cheaper than compared to how much you're paying now. And does that usually mean that the prices have changed? Things are getting more expensive, or does that more likely mean is toward that you were late, getting that payment in? But it sure seems that way. That prices are have changed since you've been taking care of the billing payment. So a lot of times it sure seems that way, that you get 1 month out of a quarter, out of a period of the year, toward let's just say that every 5 months or so. Let's just say if it's every 5 months, that you might see a 5% decrease in the billing statement. And let's just say that maybe within 6 months after that time period, from whenever that credit was credited to the bill and all, and so that's why it sure seems that way. That whenever you do look at your bills, a lot of times you have to have a calendar right in front of you. I'm like, I have to have a calendar available. And like everybody else would say too, calendar. Calendar. That you have to have a calendar available a lot of times. Just to be able to calculate about, okay, that bill is due about every 15th or so of the month, a certain period of days of the month and all that. So a lot of times that not only do you maybe have to have a calendar, not only do you have to have a calculator handy, but then also a calendar. So it's like, whenever I think about that, talking about for $138.73 right there. So it's like, that when we think about that, a lot of times, that can you remember a lot of times the cheapest bill or the most expensive bill that you can remember paying? And it was like, for a while it was a telephone bill. But I tell you one thing, everybody, that whenever you do get a bill in the mail, a lot of times, that what do you really focus on mainly? Is that if the bill is in your name, then that basically means is that you now have authorization to go ahead and call customer service and ask them questions about the bill, about why you were charged this amount, and also that any other questions that you have about this, the use of the service and all. But the way I think about too, though, that when we think about a bill, a lot of times, that you're going to see the details. On the very top of the page, like there's about maybe 3 pages explaining about yeah, third party processing, third party sites, and also the application process and service. Convenience, convenience fees a lot of times. Yeah, convenience fees. So what are convenience fees a lot of times? Convenience fees are pretty much. I'm like, yeah, convenience fees. Are amounts amounts that charged based on another type of service. So let's just say if it is third party, or I'm like, yeah, that most of the time it applies to like if you're going to be paying a bill, with a Visa or using a different processing system or something like that, then most of the time that those convenience fees are going to be applying. And there's I'm like, yeah, most of it is pay online whenever you do pay online, and sometimes even whenever you pay over the phone with a Visa, with a credit card, and then there's going to be a convenience fee that's going to apply. But a lot of times, well, you probably think about that too, where yeah, well, most of the time it's only about 2%, something like that, but 25, something like that, but still. But if we're talking about taking care of something important such as insurance, though, that the first thing that you might think about is that, yeah, well, really, that if you would like to go ahead and make a payment, though, and want to know too that you pay online, and you can go ahead and use the electronic check a lot of times. So it's like, yeah, that so whenever you do look at a bill, though, that you're going to maybe be checking in these options about how you can pay. And so that's why it sure seems that way, that whenever you do get a bill, though, that do you kind of look at that as to where that you're able to gain some knowledge and experience while you're paying it. And like everybody else, like the seniors might even say too, that, well, really, that they can be very annoying. Bills can be very annoying just because of the fact that whenever you read the details about those bills, and sometimes that they're going to be mailed to you, that you receive those bills, and they're going to be a little bit more expensive than what you thought that they were. Or sometimes that they're going to be a little bit cheaper, but it sure seems that way, that yeah, whenever you look at a bill, a lot of times, the first few things that you're going to maybe see is about how much taxes that you were billed for, and also the service, and like if there's any disconnection fees or anything like that that apply. And so that's why it sure seems that way, that whenever you do look at a bill, a lot of times that you're probably thinking that yeah, well, really, that you look at that bill, and then you're wondering toward it, yeah, well, if they have your name and address correct and everything on that bill. And whenever you're getting ready to pay a bill, a lot of times it's like they're going to ask you that, okay, if that's the same name that's printed on an electronic check. And so that's why it sure seems that way, that when each time we think about bills, does that kind of give you a better idea of what the service that you received and everything. So let's just say that, yeah, statements are another way of stating for what that what was reported when a professional does that. Like, yeah, that was talked about for contracts, by the way, but still. But I'm just using this as an example of a billing statement. So let's just say if it could really be any document, really, but I'm just using this right here as like a source of writing right here, because I know most of the time, that a lot of contract agreements are going to maybe be talking about is toward, yeah, well, who agrees to make a deposit, and who agrees to pay that installment fee or something like that. So a lot of times it's like, yeah, working out the financial arrangements and everything, right? But it sure seems that way, that that whenever you first get a bill, a lot of times, though, that you're probably warning is toward, if you were to receive a bill in the mail, and let's just say that if it's if you receive a bill in the mail for $299.85. So if you receive a bill like that in the mail, and let's just say that I don't think I can even pull up a calculator right here, but if I were to go ahead and say that, how much is that plus on top of the 5% right there? So it's like, yeah, that is that minus, plus, or minus? So a lot of times that when we actually do any sorts of mathematical type measurements right here, talk about doing the calculations about the bills right here, and so a lot of times it sure seems that way, that the first thing that comes to your mind, though, a lot of times is that how expensive things are getting, and so that's why it sure seems that way. That when we think about that, though, is to where is that more or less than what it was before? And you know for sure, like everybody else would say too, that right there looks like it's more, because last month it was the bill read 145.97. So let's just say that if you get two separate bills, and one of those bills is going to read 145.97, and within 2 months later, then you get a bill for 299.85 right there. So it's like, first of all, like everybody say that, yeah, if you think that you're getting free stuff, but let's just say though that on average though, that when we think about a bill a lot of times, that yeah, you think about a bill, and want to know just a little bit of that too. That hey, you get a bill in the mail, and then you want to know too about, surprised about how much it is, huh? But the way I think about it, just to kind of, and really, just to kind of get a better idea about how and how to manage the bills, and then also that whenever it comes to managing the finances, though, that just knowing that the data that's really, the data that's provided on that bill from whenever you made those changes. So let's just say that on average, though, just kind of keep calculation about what's being billed to you, and then knowing about how to take care of them, But anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great day.